This is KVUE News Midday.
President Donald Trump expected to get another foreign policy test this weekend. The administration amping up the rhetoric against North Korea. The show of military strength against the Hermit Kingdom. That's ahead. And it's Easter weekend. Many will be hitting the roads this weekend to visit family, but could it be a washout? We'll check in with our weather coming up. Very good morning to you. Erica Lopez is in the Storm Center this midday. And Erica, everyone wants to know rain or shine for the Easter Bunny this Sunday. What's it going to be?
Well, the good news, it's not going to be a washout at all. Just a few little sprinkles is what we're tracking for Easter Day. For the rest of the weekend, though, partly cloudy to mostly cloudy conditions. You can notice a lot of cloud coverage out there. We're not going to see any rain out of these clouds, though. It's just a lot of low-level moisture still in our region. That's keeping dew points on the high side, and also temperatures still hanging out in the 70s. So at least the cloud coverage hasn't allowed us to get many days in the 80s. Here's a look at your current temperatures for the Hill Country. Mason at 68, 66 for Fredericksburg. That's the coolest spot. 74 in Austin, couple degrees cooler in Dripping Springs, and lower 70s, upper 60s for the eastern counties. So here's what we can expect hour by hour the rest of our day. Notice decreasing cloud coverage will give us some partly cloudy skies. That'll allow us to get to at least 80 degrees this afternoon. I know a very important question is what does the rest of the weekend hold? So I'm going to chat about that in the full forecast and give you more details on Easter weekend.
We always look forward to our weekend forecast. Erica, thank you. Well, it's been 1 week since President Donald Trump ordered that missile strike in Syria. Now all eyes are on North Korea ahead of a possible nuclear weapons test. This on the heels of the U.S. dropping the mother of all bombs in eastern Afghanistan. ABC's Janae Norman reports as tensions rise across the globe.
This is the bomb the U.S. used for maximizing the destruction of ISIS, and according to Afghan officials, killed 36 ISIS fighters.
The weapon achieved its intended purpose.
It's called a massive ordnance air blast, but nicknamed the mother of all bombs. It weighs 22,000 pounds and is the largest non-nuclear bomb the U.S. has ever dropped in combat. The intended target, a series of cave complexes used by ISIS in eastern Afghanistan.
Here we had these fighters were down in this deep valley. This is really rugged terrain, and so the blast was focused and pushed up into the caves to take out these fighters.
This new video shows just how massive that bomb is. So large, it has to be carried and pushed out the back of a C-130 cargo plane, tethered to a parachute before striking its target. A massive show of force, and not just to ISIS, but also other U.S. enemies.
We watch North Korea here. Was that heard on the other side of the world in Pyongyang, and will it make an impression on Kim Jong-un?
Recent satellite images show a North Korean nuclear test site primed and ready for a launch expected Saturday. Top U.S. military leaders say the increasing pace of missile tests there over the past 6 months have made the situation urgent, leading the U.S. to move an aircraft carrier strike group into position.
I don't know if this sends a message. It doesn't make any difference if it does or not. North Korea is a problem. The problem will be taken care of.
Earlier this week, President Trump sent a series of tweets calling North Korea a problem that's looking for trouble. One North Korean official says Washington has become more vicious and more aggressive since Trump took office. Janae Norman, ABC News, Washington.
And President Donald Trump is taking steps to block funding to Planned Parenthood and other abortion providers. He signed a bill that would no longer require states to distribute federal dollars for family planning services to health providers, whether or not they perform abortions. The White House says it wants states to decide for themselves what's best. Critics are calling the move an attack on women. At 11:04 this morning, we know where the first new immigration detention center under the Trump administration will be located. A private prison company has received a $110 million federal contract to build a facility in Conroe. That's just north of Houston. The center coincides with President Trump's promised expansion of immigration detention centers and his crackdown on immigrants in the country illegally. It's scheduled to open in December of 2018. Texas lawmakers are working to take on the federal government. Yesterday, the House Committee on State and Federal Power and Responsibility discussed 4 bills related to a convention of states. Here's what that means. If 34 states decide to band together, they can add amendments to the Constitution. The goal would be amendments that would require Congress to pass a balanced budget, create term limits for members of Congress and limit the power of jurisdiction of the federal government. Opponents say that it could send the country down a slippery slope.
The original thing that created our Constitution was done in a vacuum with very highly intelligent people who were not necessarily politically motivated, but motivated by from a sense of duty.
Now, it will take 34 states signing on to call a convention. Only 8 are on board so far. The Williamson County Sheriff's Office is taking a unique approach to solving a heartbreaking cold case. Rachel Cook was last seen 15 years ago when she went out for a jog near her parents' Georgetown home. Sheriff Robert Chody is determined to solve this case, along with about 10 other unsolved and missing persons cases. He's assembling a team of retired homicide investigators to try to figure out the truth and bring peace to families who have waited so many years for answers. Cook's mother hopes this unique approach will help solve her daughter's case.
I get up with it and I go to bed with it. I even dream about it.
They deserve some type of answer that allows them to believe that we haven't given up, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Now, the members of this investigative team will actually work on a volunteer basis. Instead of a salary, they'll be serving as reservists. This week has been a bit of a disaster for United. They're not the only ones with issues, though. A woman flying out of DFW is not happy with American Airlines. She says she was forced to sit away from her 5-year-old daughter who was sick. She called the whole situation stressful and unnecessary. Meanwhile, on a United flight from Houston, a scorpion stung a passenger. Richard Bell was headed home to Calgary when that scorpion fell onto his hair from an overhead bin. United thinks that it must have been a stowaway from someone's luggage. And of course, this one, it's going to be a long time before anybody forgets about this. The man hurt while being dragged from a United flight. David Dow's lawyer says he suffered a broken nose, a concussion, and lost 2 teeth. United has apologized for the incident, but Dow says he does plan to sue. Well, some swimmers planning to take a dip in Barton Springs Pool will need to reschedule this weekend. It's closed because of flooding from heavy rain this week. Deep Eddy Pool will be open at 6 a.m. to accommodate those swimmers, while Barton Springs is closed. There's no word exactly on when it will reopen. A massive fireball on the Strip. Which popular hotel in Las Vegas caught fire overnight? Plus, a roller coaster leaving dozens stranded. The latest on the Six Flags ride as investigators try to figure out exactly what happened.